What's up, you guys? Zoe here from OneGlanceTrader.com, and I'm really excited because in this week's video I'm releasing a brand new indicator, the OGT Pivot Points Indicator, and you can download this indicator and all my indicators and EAs absolutely free. Link is in the description. And if you guys have been enjoying the content, the EAs and indicators, I really hope that you can give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Click that notifications bell because I've got some really good content scheduled between now and the end of the year. And so, like I said, in this week's video, I'll be going through this brand new indicator, the OGT Pivot Points Indicator. And if for you guys who've been following my channel, you guys will notice that I've been producing a lot more content around pivot points because I'm trying to build a robust trading strategy that is a discretionary trading strategy, but it's working really well for me at the moment. And you guys can check out the playlist. Link is in the top right hand corner and in the description if you want to learn more about pivot point trading strategies. So in this video, I'm going to go through the brand new indicator that my team have created, along with some really high level examples of potential entry signals and confluence factors that you can, hopefully you guys can see it on the chart now, but I'll be running through that with you in this video. So you guys will know in the previous content that I've produced that I've been a big fan of the TradingView Pivot Point Standard Indicator, which is probably the most widely commonly used pivot points indicator on TradingView. And when crawling through the internet and trying to find equivalents for MT4, I couldn't really find anything that I liked. So I set out to go create a new one with my team, and here it is on the screen now. So what I'm showing on the screen is a 30-minute chart, Euro USD, and this at the moment is showing daily pivots. And what you will see is that one thing I like about this indicator and the TradingView indicator, it has a look back period. So it's showing for each day the pivot points for the particular day. It's good for back testing, it's good for looking at missed pivot strategies and all that kind of good stuff in there. And one thing I like about this indicator and the TradingView indicator is it sticks the length of the pivot point to the actual time frame. So in this case, a day, and if you did a week, it'll do it for a whole week. And what you will notice is that the current day's pivot, well, not only it has already been hit, but secondly, it's not as long as the previous pivot point indicators. And that's because we're live inside the markets now. What will happen is every time a new bar is formed, whatever the time frame is, that line will get extended out. The line is fixed. Once it's printed, doesn't repaint because it's done by a simple calculation using previous historical data, and that line will not repaint. So the pivot of today's pivot of 1.17178 will stay there throughout the rest of the day, and as this 30-minute chart builds, that line will start to get extended out to the end of the day, and then when the new day starts, a new pivot point will be printed and start to develop as time goes on. So if I walk you guys through the input settings for this indicator, so currently the only option is the traditional method, which is high plus low plus close divided by 3. And you'll notice in the TradingView indicator, they've got other methods like Fibonacci, for example. I don't personally use the other methods, which is why I haven't built it in. But if there is a need from you guys that you want to use the other methods that are there, put a comment in the description, drop me an email, and I can look to get that in the next versions. The next one is the pivot point time frame. So again, you can select daily, weekly, or monthly. So I'll select monthly so you can kind of see what that looks like. Pivots back is basically the number of periods to draw back. So in the daily example, it went back 20 days. In the weekly example, it will go back 20 weeks. And you can set that to 0, and that will only show the current day, week, or month. Show labels is basically the PP. So again, you do have R1, all the resistance levels and all the support levels as well. So again, if you do not want to display that, you can turn those off if you so wish. PP to display basically means, do you want to show the pivot line? So the pivot point in the default settings is set to true, and all the resistance and support ones are set to false. Pivot point line style is set to default as solid. There's a bit of an issue here that I've just recently found out that none of the other line styles are not working, so I need to fix that in version 1.1. However, again, solid lines is fine. I think it does the job what you need it to do. And then line thickness, again, it's quite self-explanatory. And then line color, you can select that to any of the standard color palettes you want. So if you have got your S1 or your support and your resistant lines in there and you want different colors, you can do that. And again, those kind of displays are all the same for the resistance levels and the support levels. So by default, the only line that is showing is the pivot point line. So what I've done is I've just changed the pivot point time frame to weekly just to show you, and just for giggles we will change the color as well, so you guys can see that. Probably not the best color to choose for a video, but hopefully you guys can see that it's now showing the weekly pivots. Again, it shows you for the duration of the pivot time frame that you are looking at. So in this case, a week, and then you've got last week's pivot here. And again, a classic example of mispivot. For those of you who look at mispivot strategies, hopefully it has. Yeah, it has. Yeah. So it missed last week's pivot, and then you know, this week is now fallen back to its pivot there. And again, there are a number of strategies which this video is not about, but what I wanted to do is show you what I was looking at on the not daily, I'll just stick it at the dark blue for this example, for the Euro USD as a potential short trade. So the concept of pivot points is that the pivot itself is considered fair value for the time frame, so it's kind of where fair price is. So price looks at pivot points like a magnet. As you saw with the weekly example, pivots don't always get hit, but it's around 85% of the time that pivots get hit. So you can see here that this pivot point here back on the 28th of September or 29th of September, that this pivot wasn't hit. And what you'll notice is eventually, most of the time, missed pivots are good target points for future things. So again, I would imagine, not sure. So price at the moment, I think, is just nowhere near that last missed daily pivot. But for what I'm just about to show you, I think that price could potentially get there potentially today. So apologies. So how can we use this in terms of inside our trading? So one very basic example, and the reason why I'm showing it because I can just see it on the chart. And again, I normally do most of my tutorial videos on the Euro USD, not cherry pick charts. And a perfect setup has drawn over here. So if I draw this trend line for this downward movement, again trying to get as many of the highs as possible. Let's just say it's around there. So we are in a bearish trend, which is very clear to see. And again, one of the trading strategies that I like to adopt is, you know, pullbacks inside trends. So again, regardless of the time frame, you get trends on all time frames, and what we're looking at is pullbacks within within the trend. Now, without putting other indicators on like stochastics, MACD, or anything like that, or RSI, you can see here that you've already got 3 confluence factors in certain areas, and the one area that I will pick out is this area here. And firstly, it has hit its pivot points for all points this week, and it's also hit it today just recently. Is that you've got price that is going retracing back up to its pivot point, and again, the two things that can happen at any level: price can either break through or use it or use it as support or resistance. And in this case, it used it as resistance because you've got a downward trend. Again, you could have drawn this trend line 3 days earlier with the 1, 2, 3 kind of touch points. This line would have got extended. Price retraces up to the pivot, which again coincides with the trend line. And look at these rejection candles. Look at these wicks between dojis and pin bars and all that kind of good stuff in there. You've got this here would have got me excited in terms of getting into a trade. So what I would have done in this scenario is when I start seeing all of this stuff here starting to form, I would have dropped down to lower time frames, so probably the 5-minute chart, and start looking for bearish divergence, because for me that bearish divergence is a good entry signal on lower time frames when you've done your analysis on higher time frames. I've got a video for that, and I'll link to that in my sniper entries video, so I'll link to that in the description and in the top right corner. And then I would have taken that trade. And then, as you can see, the next day, price goes down, goes slightly higher, but then breaks through its pivot again. And then you've got two of these kind of doji rejection candles here. And this would be an area on lower time frames where I would look for a trend following guide, whether that is, again, in this example here, I will be looking for hidden divergence to go along with the trend. So again, just utilizing higher time frames for analysis and lower time frames for your entry. And again, we'll have a look at this now in a second. So just to let you guys know, because I think it's quite interesting. So again, we've got a setup that's forming here. That price gone down, is retraced back up, it's hit the trend line, and it's also hit the pivot line. It's starting to reject. So what I am going to do, we'll do this live. Okay, so now we've got this scenario here. So if I then start to put in firstly my RSI MTF indicator, if I can actually click it properly, that might help. Go to the input settings on that one. Let's just do quantity, time frame 170.30. That's fine. No filter time frames. So at the moment, there is no overbought, oversold on multiple time frames. As you can see, the last time it was at this level over here, so that's fine. And then we've got, what I wanted to do is to get the MACD LWA. Again, you can find this on my, it's not my indicator, but you can find it on my channel. And at the moment, there is no divergence forming. That's not to say that price can't go back and retrace to make it in there. So again, for me at the moment, I wouldn't be taking a trade on this one because it hasn't fulfilled my criteria. Let's have a look on the 15-minute chart. There's nothing really forming there. Let's have a look on the 1 minute. And again, on the 1 minute chart, it's slightly different. I tend to not really take trades off the 1 minute chart. Again, you've got higher highs forming over here at that pivot, and then you've got lower highs forming here. And again, we have crossed the zero line. Again, I'm still not 100% happy. I really want price to come back here and probably form another low. Have we got any hidden divergence? Inside here, no, nothing really forming at this moment for me to enter in this trade. And the whole thing is about patience. It's about when people see this, they're going to go, oh, I want to go straight into the trend. And again, you can throw in the OGT trend dashboard on here to see what the higher time frames are doing. We can probably just look at the higher time frames. And you know, at the moment we are probably inside a bearish trend at the moment. So again, all signals points this pair wants to continue to go down, but you will have to find your favorite entry system to kind of get there. So that's one example of how you can use pivots. Hopefully that was useful to you guys. And a few playlists are showing on the screen now of my pivots and also my forex scalping course as well. So check those ones out, and I shall see you guys on the next video.